Now we are almost there because yes, we have the placeholder for every page that we want to navigate, but we need also to configure the router. So we need to import here the route config, and the route config is a decorator, remember that. So we have route config, and this receives an array of URLs, so, or configuration of the URL. So we have to specify the path, the name, so let's put welcome, and the component, in this case welcome component. I'm going to copy and paste this 3 times. So the next route is login. This route we will name login, and it's pointing to the login component. And the last one is user and user component. So it's complaining about this comma. Okay, perfect. So we have all these, and we are ready to compile this. So we can do npm start. This is a way to start the application. This will run TypeScript, and then the light server. So obviously we have an error here. Let's check what's the problem. And it's saying that it can't load up. Yeah. So let's take a look what was the problem. So here we are trying to load main. In main we have app that should be in this folder, and it's not, because we call it app.component, so this should be add.component. Okay, and autocomplete was weird there. Okay, we load the application again. Okay, that's good. The application is running, but we are not going anywhere. Why? We have to specify in our app component which of these is going to be the default route. So we can say here, use as default true. We'll launch again. Okay, okay, something obviously is yeah, use as default. Yes. Okay, so obviously we still have an error. So we use as default true. Router config, router outlet, route config. Oh, yeah, rookie mistake. So we need the router outlet here, router config. So everything is fine. We have the directive, we have the router outlet. Yes, so what is missing from this example, and this is kind of confusing. Also, the router outlet is a directive, and yeah, I forgot to put the router outlet. So now, yes, so we are in the welcome page, as we were expecting. If the user type login in the URL, we go to the login page, and if we type user, we go to the user page. Okay, so we have the every page working, but let's add a navigation between them. Okay, so let's imagine that from the welcome component, we want to put a link, go to login page. So we want to go from the welcome component to the login page. In this case, we need to use the router link. So router link, and we pass an array with the name of the route that we want to go. So we want to go to the login. This name should match this one, or this one. If not, it will fail. So we need to import from here the router link. Okay, I'm going to check because I don't want to forget anything. So we are in the login component. Yes, so, and remember, this is the directive. So we put it in the array. And let's try it. So from the login page, if we click on it, we go to the login and we want to go back. So if we go to the login page, we can put here a link, and with the router link that should go to the welcome page. So we can go back, go to welcome. So we need again to import the router link. So we have directive router link, and let's try it. So we are in the login page, we click in the welcome and we go to the welcome page. Let's go a little bit further and we can duplicate this, and let's go to the login page from here, to the user page, sorry, go to user, okay. And if we repeat the same from user, we want to go to the welcome component, okay. So let's copy all this because it's going to be always the same. And the directive. Okay, so let's try it. So we are in the welcome page. We click and go to login page. We navigate to the login page. We can go back, and from the login page, we could go to the user page. From the user page, we can navigate back to the welcome page. Okay, so this is the basis of navigation and routing. I'm going to give you an extra hint because you will want to pass parameters while you're navigating from one page to the other one. So how do you pass parameters in the URL? Let's suppose that our user, if we are going to fetch in the database, we would like to pass an user ID. So when we configure the route, we can use this syntax. So with the semicolon and the name of our parameter, we are going to expect here something like user and an ID. This is what we are going to be expecting in the user component. Okay, so how do we pass this ID value? That is mandatory. And how do we capture this value? So from the login component, if we want to pass an ID in the array of the router link, in the second position, we can pass an object with ID, and let's say suppose 1, 2, 3. Okay, and from the user component, we should use router params. Okay, this is something new. This is an extra hint in this example. We need to use router params to get the ID from the URL. So we need a little bit of help here. The constructor, we should have router params, type router params. Yes, so in order to inject this, we have to providers, router params, and yeah, let's check. Yes, I always confuse. Yes, this is the right one. So it's route params, sorry. I always confuse with one or the other one. They name this router link and then route params. So for me, it's a little bit inconsistent, but they decide like this. So with the router param, we can get the ID, but we cannot do it in the constructor because this is going to be try to get the values on injection time. So we should use the on init. Okay, this is an interface, so we have to implement here on init. One of the methods that we have to implement from the on init is the ng on init, and this happens when the component is initialized. And let's create a variable here, public user ID, type string. We don't have any yet. So in the init phase of the life cycle of this component, we could do this route params get ID. So with this, we will get the ID and user page. And let's print here with the interpolation on user ID. Okay, so let's try this. Sorry, we don't need to open my preferences. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we can here and go to user. Yes, we still have a problem because we need to specify the route params. So this works exactly, route params. Yes. So route params, we don't need to put it here. This is kind of confusing from my point of view. Okay, so we have this route params come from here, and the login component route params. Yes. So here we are. Go to user, and here it is. So why this happened like this, and we don't have to import this? Because if we remember, in this step we specify router providers, and this apply to all components in the hierarchy. Okay, so to recap, in the router link, when we call the user route, we are passing the ID, and in the user component, we are using the route params to get this ID. We could also pass an extra parameter. Let's put here name. Let's put my name. I think I have to put it like this. Remember, this is live coding. And let's see how it looks, the route now. Login page. User. Okay, so the difference now is that the user ID is mandatory, and then the next parameter that we pass it as a query parameter. That's why we have this, and it's not mandatory. You can pass it or not. In the user component, you can read it. So let's say here, let's put here h2 user name. Put name, let's check. Yes, name. So we save here, and we try again. So yeah, as we can see, these are the two options to pass parameters in the router params. One with the URL. So in this case, we have to specify in the route config that we will receive an ID. And the other options with the query parameters. This is optional. If you don't pass it, it's not printed, so it's optional. These are the two options. So hopefully with this, I give you an overview of how the router works in Angular 2. Obviously, the Angular 2 router is much more complex because you can have modal routing, parallel routing, and there are also aux routing, so to route inside the same view several times. So it's much more complex, this topic, but with these ideas that I give you in this video, you should be able to start working on your application, and at some point the documentation from Angular 2 should be better, and then you can improve your knowledge in this very advanced topic. So see you in the next video.